Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into some pretty complex intellectual stuff.
Yeah, we're looking at Curtis Yarvin and Nick Land.
Exactly. Key figures in what people call the Dark Enlightenment. And we're using this article from April 25th, 2025, Dark Utopia, Curtis Yarvin, Nick Land, and the New Radical Right as our guide.
And we know you want to get the core ideas quickly, but, properly, without getting lost in the weeds.
That's the plan.
So we'll pull out the really important bits, the main arguments, why these thinkers are actually considered significant in, certain circles.
Right. So the mission here is to unpack what Yarvin and Land are really arguing, see where they overlap, where they differ, and figure out why their ideas have this influence.
Makes sense.
Okay, let's start with Curtis Yarvin. The article really paints him as, maybe not a household name, but definitely influential for the new radical right over in America.
That's right. And he used to write as Mencius Moldbug, which some might know. His ideas have definitely gained traction.
So his Dark Enlightenment thinking, it basically challenges modern liberal democracy head on. Things like representative government, rule of law.
Yeah, all that stuff we usually take as, normal. He sees it very differently.
So democracy isn't the goal. It's a sign of decline in his view. That's quite a statement.
It really is. He calls it a kind of smokescreen, a lie, the article says, that hides who really holds power.
And who does he think holds that power?
Well, according to him, it's what he calls the cathedral.
The cathedral, that's evocative. What's that mean?
The article explains it as this big structure. Think mainstream media, universities, government bureaucracies.
Okay.
But the key thing isn't just that they exist. Yarvin argues they act together, maybe unconsciously, pushing progressive ideas and sort of undermining older power structures. It's like the dominant narrative pushed by the influential institutions.
Right, I think I'm getting it. So if democracy is just a front and the cathedral is really in charge, what does Yarvin suggest instead? What's the alternative?
His alternatives is called neocameralism.
Neocameralism.
Yeah. And the model is basically a corporation. He imagines the state run like a business.
Run by who?
By a sovereign CEO, unelected, can't be removed, has absolute power.
A CEO for the country. That's obviously not democratic at all. And citizens become users, shareholders.
Exactly. It's not about rights. It's more like a contract. You're a shareholder maybe, or just a customer using the state's services. The whole point is efficiency, like a business chasing profits.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting connecting to today. The article brings up algorithmic sovereignty and Silicon Valley figures liking these ideas. Peter Thiel gets mentioned specifically.
Yeah, Thiel's definitely relevant here. He's questioned if freedom and democracy can even coexist,
Right. Yeah.
And he's put money behind thinkers and groups aligned with these neo-reactionary views. It's interesting why it appeals to some tech people. Maybe it's the idea of clean, rational, data-driven government. Like, politics is just messy code that needs fixing.
It does sound like they see society as buggy software. Democracy is slow and efficient.
Yeah, needs an upgrade.
And the source connects Yarvin's ideas to the rhetoric around Trump's 2016 run, specifically that deep state idea.
That's a really important link. Yarvin kind of provided the intellectual framework for that feeling. The idea of this hidden deep state blocking the people's will, pushing the cathedral's agenda, and that neither the cathedral nor democracy can actually provide order. Only a strong man can cut through it all.
That definitely echoes themes from that time. The article also mentions Yarvin's language itself. Lots of programming talk, software analogies. That makes it appealing in tech and crypto circles, right?
Absolutely. He speaks their language, frame a society as like obsolete code needing a total rewrite. It's this mix of tech jargon and really quite authoritarian reactionary ideas that's potent for that audience.
So stripping it down, Yarvin's core view is just deeply hostile to political equality, to people participating.
Very much. Yeah.
He prefers hierarchy, efficiency, unquestioned authority. The article calls it an aristocratic restoration in digital form, with a tech elite in charge.
That sums it up well. And it's not just theory for him. The source says he's actively trying to influence things, blogs, podcasts, newsletters, memes, trying to reach people in power to, quote, reprogram the future.
And it seems like these ideas are bubbling up more than you'd think. The article mentions J.D. Vance, a Republican candidate, showing some sympathy, and the appeal of places like Singapore efficient but authoritarian to some tech elites.
Right. And that's where you see the potential danger, as the article points out. It can be framed as just a technical fix, an upgrade.
Like an efficiency measure.
Exactly. But underneath, it's aiming to get rid of elections, concentrate power, shut down dissent.
A high-tech version of absolutism. That phrase from the article really sticks.
It does. So Yarvin is basically about deep distrust in democracy, wanting hierarchy, efficiency, control instead.
Okay.
And the article suggests his influence isn't just him, it's a symptom of maybe a wider loss of faith in democracy, a growing attraction to control and authority.
Okay, so that's Yarvin. Now let's shift to Nick Land. The article says he actually coined the term dark enlightenment back in 2012.
Right. Land's the originator of the name, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's presented very differently from Yarvin. More apocalyptic, a theorist of dissolution, the article calls him.
Dissolution, how so?
Well, Yarvin offers this, blueprint, the state is company. Land is more about systems breaking down, falling apart. He seems to see the collapse of liberal civilization as almost inevitable, maybe even desirable.
Wow, okay.
So where Yarvin wants to rebuild based on his design, Land is more focused on the process of things just disintegrating, almost embracing it.
But they still share some core ideas, don't they? The article mentions they both reject the Enlightenment itself.
Oh, absolutely. That's key. They both see the whole Enlightenment project, reason, individual rights, popular rule, not as progress, but as a destructive mistake, an illusion.
They think it failed.
Essentially, yes. They reject ideas like universalism, equality, constant progress. They call those toxic myths. And both really celebrate elites.
But different kinds of elites. Slightly,
yeah. Yarvin focuses on a technocratic elite, the competent managers. Land's vision leans more towards a sort of cybernetic, almost post-human elite. It's important to grasp, that the Enlightenment championed reason and individual rights as paths to good government. Yarvin and Land are asking, fundamentally, did it work out?
Okay, so Yarvin's the engineer trying to rewrite the bad code. Land's the philosopher fascinated by AI, chaos, markets just tearing down the old order.
That's a good way to put it.
And their solutions or remedies reflect that. Yarvin wants his digital monarchy. Land talks about liberatory catastrophe through acceleration. What's that mean?
It means pushing the current system harder, faster, amplifying its contradictions until it just breaks. Accelerationism. Whereas Yarvin wants to replace democracy with something he sees as more orderly and efficient.
Right. But here's the really disturbing part the article points out. They end up in a similar place despite the different routes.
Yeah, that's the convergence.
A future with no real participation, no popular sovereignty, no shared morality even. Where power is just about speed, efficiency, control, not consent.
That's the chilling core of it, as the article lays out. The dark enlightenment isn't just being grumpy about liberalism or wanting the good old days. It's a calculated rejection of its foundations.
It's not looking backward, it's looking somewhere else entirely.
Exactly. It's a leap into something new. Post-democratic, technocratic, authoritarian. Yeah. And for Land, maybe even post-human. And the fact that it's presented with this veneer of, rationality and design makes it potentially quite potent.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've taken this deep dive, guided by the article, into Curtis Yarvin and Nick Land. We saw Yarvin's critique of democracy as a sham, his neocameralism idea, the state as corporation with a CEO finding some ears in tech.
Right, and contrasted that with Land's darker, more chaotic vision of accelerating collapse.
But both ending up somehow envisioning a future that throws out the basics of democratic government.
And hopefully for you, listening in and wanting to get a handle on these complex ideas quickly, this discussion has, clicked, shed some light on what's driving this intellectual current.
Absolutely. And it leaves us and you with something pretty significant to think about. When we see this growing frustration with democratic processes, this may be growing allure of systems